Happy Sunday, greater purpose. You are welcomed, you are loved, you are affirmed because love is love and love wins. And in case you didn't hear, today is Pride. Y'all, I gotta tell you, I was so bummed because I thought that this event was canceled this year. And ever since we relaunched this church, we have attended every Pride parade. We haven't done church. And I thought that was going to change this year, but luckily for us, the folks at Santa Cruz Pride were on top of it, y'all. They had a virtual march planned that we are all going to go to and participate in today. The link is above. So after this short video, I want you to click on that link and join our LGBT friends in our local community and show up to support them because that's what good allies do. And speaking of good allyship, you know, I see this word tossed around with privileged folks like myself. And I used to be under the assumption that you can just claim to be a good ally, but that's actually not true. You see, allyship is something that is defined by the people and the communities that you claim to stand with. So we actually can't claim to be good allies. We are defined by marginalized and vulnerable folks as good allies. And I think that's important right now. This week, I saw some really disturbing things with very well-intentioned people that are standing for the most vulnerable people in our broken economic system. They are standing for people that are homeless, that are living on the streets. And some of them were kind of coattailing off the Black Lives Matter movement. And I just gotta tell you that I know your heart's in the right place. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be doing the work that you do. But it's just not the time. And I'm not the one saying that. Local people of color and leaders of color, they're the ones saying that. And it makes sense. I mean, think about it this way, right? If we had an event that was for the environment, let's say it was Earth Day, and we had a local action, and someone showed up with signs that demanded America to abolish the NRA and demanded gun control now. It definitely is something that's relevant, but it's just not the right time, you know? It's kind of like read the room. And right now, I think us as allies, or people trying to be allies, I think we need to support Black Lives Matter without unintentionally or intentionally derailing this conversation, because for once, y'all, we have this opportunity to make a real difference for people of color. I have never in my lifetime seen the entire world protest for Black Lives Matter, protest for the end of systemic racism and the end of police brutality for people of color. I mean, this is the synchronized movement. We are in this sensitive moment. And I think now is the time to hone in and focus and join forces and agree that it's long past time for this toxic reality of racism to end. And then corporately commit to joining together to fight other initiatives after we're done with this moment. We will move on to the next thing. It does not mean that these other efforts aren't necessary. It just means that we have an opportunity to make a difference for this one, okay? I want to share with you a story. A lot of you weren't here with us when we first relaunched Greater Purpose. And one of the things that I wanted us to be known for was activism. And because of that, we never shied away from an opportunity to be on the front lines with our pulpit. We talked about gun reform, and we talked about environmentalism and being open and affirming to the LGBT populace. And there came a week when there was a killing of an innocent Black man. And as a church, we made a decision that we were going to do a vigil for Black Lives Matter. Now, let me explain. Vigils back home, they are worship services. So I'm from the South. Vigils out here are not worship services because many people attend vigils for social justice that aren't religious. I did not know this, so that was my first mistake. A well-intentioned mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. And I was getting on a plane coming back to California when I created the event for this vigil for Black Lives Matter. And when the plane landed, I noticed that there was an additional 570 people planning on coming to church. By the end of Friday night, there was 2,000 people that said they were going to come. I think total we had 800 to 900 people in the courtyards and in the church that showed up for this event. Now, we were a small church like we are now. This was huge, and I thought it was a success. Right? I was excited about it. The NAACP showed up. Local leaders of color showed up, and we gave them the microphone. But after the event was over, a leader of color that I deeply respect approached me and said, hey, you know what? Next time, maybe don't give a sermon at an event for racial justice. Maybe give the mic to a person of color and let them take center stage. And maybe reach out to leaders of color and ask them if they want you to do the event in the first place. And y'all, I was so taken aback, because it was not my intention to be selfish, or at least to be perceived as being selfish. Like, I really wanted to be a good ally, but being a good ally means that we show up how we're asked to show up. And when we are asked to show up, we are there on the front line, first in line, and we are there to stand between the vulnerable and the marginalized that we are claiming to stand for and those that would do them harm. But we are doing so in a way that doesn't distract from uplifting these voices. And I am saying that as a person that has been told to do that. So if we want to be good allies, we actually don't get to define ourselves as good allies. The marginalized and the vulnerable that we claim to stand for, they get to issue us that label. They get to discern and claim that we are good allies. So I challenge you, Santa Cruz, to submit to the leadership of nonprofit organizations and community efforts that are led by people of color right now. Let's show up how they need us to, because we have a chance to make a difference. And it's time that a difference is made. And until next week, may the revolution of Jesus go with you wherever it may send you. May it guide you through the wasteland and protect you through the storm. May it take you to the world demanding the justice that it has for you, and may it bring you home preparing to once again take love's mission beyond your doors. Grace and justice to you.